Welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, and today I'm talking about the Four of Wands. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. The best way to support the podcast right now is to listen daily, rate, review, and to follow or subscribe in your chosen podcast app. If you're loving the podcast and want to further support me, you can join my Patreon for behind-the-scenes access to upcoming topics, polls, monthly hangouts, tarot questions, and tarot readings. The link is in the show notes if you want to check that out. You can always go to my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot for all the latest information related to the podcast and to find images of the cards I pull in each episode. If you're local to the greater Puget Sound area, I'd love to see you at my next Let's Talk Tarot meetup group event. You can click the meetup link in the show notes to check out the next event and RSVP. If you don't already know, I'm a sex and relationships therapist seeing clients virtually all over Washington State. I love working with queer, kinky, poly, and witchy clients who might be struggling with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex. I'm taking on new clients, and I would love if you go to my website, CamilleASaunders.com, to book a free 20-minute consultation to see if we're a good fit to work together. If you're interested in my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date information on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. The link to sign up for that is in the show notes as well, or you can always sign up via a pop-up on my website. So we are into season 6 now. Welcome. In this season, I am talking all about the Suit of Wands, going through each card one per episode. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you should go ahead and check those out. In the first season, I introduced tarot basics. In seasons 2 and 3, I went through the major arcana and the 4 suits, one per episode. In season 4, I talked all about tarot and pop culture. And in season 5, I went through 13 common tarot spreads. Like I said, now we're into season 6, and we're talking all about the Suit of Wands. If you want to hear an episode dedicated to an overview of the Suit of Wands, you can check out season 3, episode 10. And today we're getting into specifically the Four of Wands. So go ahead, grab your deck and pull out your Four of Wands card. So images or symbols associated with this card are celebration, togetherness, being in alignment, being like with your people, symmetry, stability, and home and environment. If you want to see a couple of examples of what Four of Wands look like in different decks, you can go ahead and go to my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, to see the blog for today's episode. There I'll have 3 different deck examples of the Four of Wands card. So today I'm looking at the Therapist Who Tarot deck by Drea Bloom and Rebecca Bloom, the Sacerabito Tarot deck by Stasia Barrington, and the Goddess of Love Tarot deck by Gabriella Herstick and Julia Popescu. All right, so when we think about correspondences or sort of specific things going along with this card, again, I'm going to read a quote from the Library of Esoterica Tarot book by Toshin. They say the Four of Wands is all about rest and satisfaction. The Four of Wands symbolizes freedom from responsibility, spontaneity of action, pride in achievement, and harmony in the home. And again, that quote is from the Library of Esoterica Tarot book by Toshin. It has a lot of beautiful images of different cards across different decks, so it's a very fun one to have. And then I'm going to be, pulling out some of my favorite tarot books today. Fearless Tarot by Elia Adam is where we will start. And so, thinking about the Four of Wands, what is this card all about? Like I said, so definitely celebration. Again, if you have a deck, go ahead and pull your card out for the Four of Wands and take a look at it. What images do you see? What vibe does it give off? The imagery is often very straightforward. So in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, there are sort of 4 pillars that are depicted as wands, but they're quite tall. There's sort of like a castle in the background. And then there's like people that look like they're like holding up flowers or garlands or something like that in celebration. And then there's sort of like a lot of people in the background, almost like a festival or like I said, a sort of celebration. Um, the figures on the card are dancing. The Four of Wands is all about connecting with others for no other reason than to have laughter, humor, and fun. The Four of Wands also reminds you to celebrate your rites of passage. It's important to mark even small achievements and accomplishments with a special occasion. This will ensure that you experience the joy of what you're manifesting. When is the last time you let your hair down and had some fun? Have you been too serious lately? Do you think you can't enjoy yourself because there are 20 million unfinished things to do? The Four of Wands reminds us that having occasional fun isn't something to feel guilty about. It's vital to remain a balanced human being. Sometimes there's just no substitute for laughing and dining outdoors on a balmy June evening with someone whose company you enjoy. Right? Get something that you're into, right? A hot cup of hot chocolate, a snuggly chair, a good book when it's cold outside, right? Now that it's at least, entering springtime for me in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm spending lots of time outside. Sometimes if it's rainy in my cozy greenhouse, planting up seeds or kind of potting up plants there. Sometimes I just hang out in there and drink my coffee. So right, even when there's that long list of unfinished things to do, whether you take a break or not, they'll still be waiting for you. So why not return to your tasks in a good mood? Celebrate an accomplishment you've made or a goal you've reached. Treat yourself. Celebrate that you went to the gym today. Give yourself an elegant dinner for making it through a difficult workday. You could even just celebrate because you're alive. Life isn't just about flitting from one busy task to another. It's all about occasionally stopping yourself and finding charm in the moment. Just look outside and see how prettily the light dances off the leaves. The Four of Wands doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and party. It's a little less intense than that. Sometimes it just reminds us to connect with the people who matter to us, right? So maybe sending a message to your loved ones, writing a sweet card, right? Spending time with those folks you're grateful for and letting them know that. It might brighten their day if things have been getting heavy for them or if the world is feeling heavy right now, which I think in a lot of ways it is. The best people in our lives make our journey through the hills and valleys so much more pleasant. This card also advises you to have more fun socially. The figures on the Four of Wands are all holding bouquets, a symbol for beautiful gifts received. The message of this card is clear. Have some fun and enjoy life's gifts. So again, take a look at your card and kind of see what of those images or symbols are on there. Next, we're going to be looking at the Tarot and Astrology book by Corinne Kenner. So this one is all about, right, what does the zodiac and the astrology have to do with this card? And the Four of Wands is associated with Venus in Aries, sometimes called Lord of Perfected Work. The Four of Wands is the card of dance. It's a metaphor for collaboration and cooperation. In the tarot reading, the Four of Wands often symbolizes a marriage or a partnership. That's something that the person on the Two of Wands and the young woman on the Three of Wands can take to heart. So again, if you listen to my previous episodes, you can kind of remember. So the Two of Wands depicts the sort of younger version of the Emperor. The Three of Wands has often like a young woman on it. And they are maybe practicing their dance steps and learning to work in concert with each other as we get into this Four of Wands card. So if you think about it, right, the tarot, it's not just looking at a card in isolation, right, which is why it's fun doing this whole season about one suit, because we kind of get to talk about like the story that is depicted across the minor arcana suit of wands. So as the two figures, again, on the Two of Wands and Three of Wands, they are emperors in training. They'll need to learn how to synchronize their movements. So if you think about Venus, Venus is a planet of pleasure, music, dance, creativity, and the arts. It's a planet of beauty and attraction. Again, thinking of like the goddess Venus, associated with beauty and attraction, resulting friendships and romances. Venus, it also rules the fixed earth sign of Taurus, and Taurus is all about enjoying comfort and stability that love and partnership can bring. And Venus corresponds to the Empress card. So that's a natural match for the Emperor. And that's the card that's sort of associated with this sign. So here in the Four of Wands, Venus aligns herself with the purpose-driven energy of Aries, and she teaches it to dance. So even though Venus is in detriment in Aries, they're not necessarily like super well aligned. They are forced to join forces and work with a warrior mentality. And the planet of Venus like puts this romantic glow over an otherwise sort of like different sign. The Four of Wands could also sort of reflect a young emperor's determination and desire to find an empress to help him rule his empire. And this one, so we're actually going to be into this season shortly, but the third decan of Aries usually falls between April 11th and 20th, when the sun is between 20 and 30 degrees Aries. So we are close to that time, not quite in it. This is coming out on the 7th of April, so in a couple of days after that. But yeah, just interesting to think about these astrological correspondences with the cards, which are a little bit newer to me, which is why I like looking at this book here. And the last sort of thing that I'm going to be referencing today is the Tarot for Change book by Jessica Dorr, using the cards for self-care, acceptance, and growth. And I thought that this was a sort of like elaborating on the idea of celebration. So she starts talking about at the beginning that a lot of us spend our lives like seeking things. And there is a wounding that happens when we feel chronically sort of left out or out of place. And it's almost certain maybe we're this feeling of like, oh, I'm the black sheep, or like, right, I was mistaken for someone else, or I don't fit in here. And sort of maybe always feeling like you're on the outside of groups. And when that out of placeness is our norm, we begin to mistake the feeling for what home is. So it says, seekers of familiarity by nature, we are often drawn as if magnetically to situations that replicate what we're used to, whether it's good for us or not, whether it's a well-fitted mantle or a cheap knockoff that never quite sits right. For many of us, it's a significant developmental task to reset our sense of home so that we're drawn to situations that are affirmative and life-giving rather than replicators of the sense of exile we came up with. This is a unique journey that looks different for everyone, and as much as I wished I could tell you the way, I cannot. One thing I can say, the reset usually involves attending to the original wound when you first felt you were outside and unable to get in. There are many options for treating the wound, and here are a couple. So she sort of goes on to give two options. So option A is that you, right, find belonging among people and situations that want and desire maybe certain parts of you, right? They might decide what parts they want and which one, and it will be up to you to determine what to do with the rest. This can be a good option if the pain of the original wound is too much to bear and you need a quick salve to numb and soothe in the moment. It won't necessarily tend to the root of the problem, and long-term use is not recommended. I love that this is like a prescription. So right, sometimes that can feel the safest. Okay, maybe I don't necessarily have people around me or very many people that accept all of the aspects of me, all of my complexities, or all of the nuance, or all of the things that I'm interested in and hold. So sometimes it can feel okay to write, okay, when I'm at this networking meeting, I give this sort of like business, professional side of myself, and maybe I don't talk so much about the witchy side, or just for example, or things like that. So that is sort of one option, right, is finding different communities where you can sort of exercise those parts of you. Option B is that you choose to be around people who can accept both your offerings and your vulnerabilities. This means that they recognize your autonomy and hold space for you to deviate from their ideas of what is right. And it means that when you say when, that means when. It means that you are honored in both what you bring to the table and what you do not, cannot, and will not. Unlike option A, long-term use of option B is associated with good self-esteem, a sense of safety, and a thriving creative life. This is a good option for those who have developed the coping skills to manage the loneliness that radiates from the original wound, and we don't need to numb it to just get through the day. But sometimes we can be in a sort of waiting period, right, for that option. It takes a lot of maybe patience or audacity to believe that there are people out there that are able to, right, hold space for your whole self. Um, and right, sometimes it just takes a long time to find that sort of community. Sometimes you can find like a couple people or safe people in your life, or right, like one or two like really good friends that can do this, but finding an actual community, right, especially in things like business or in hobbies or things like that, can feel right. It might just take time. You might have to weed through a lot of options, right? Go to, for my example earlier, many networking groups and figure out which one actually is the right fit for you. And how will you know when you've chosen this option? As Clarissa Pinkola Estes has written, you will recognize it because it makes your life stronger rather than weaker. The wands always come with a degree of fire, and because there are four, the suggestion is that the stability of the longing creates a grounding from which creative energy can flow with a certain strength and sustainability. It's common and normal for those seeking home to switch back and forth between option A and option B. Just know that whatever options you're currently using, there's no shame in wanting to belong and be loved. So again, when you look at that Four of Wands card, right, if we think about four different pillars being able to hold things up, right, that is how most of our houses are built. That's how a lot of structures are built, is having those four corners of foundation and then being able to be held like on the inside of that, right, or being able to build the roof over top of the community that is metaphorically within those walls. As I spoke about earlier, this card is also about like literal home and environment, right? Not just the environment of where you feel safe, but also like like your literal space, which I think is indicated in some of the depictions of the Four of Wands cards that I have in front of me. One of them, I guess two of them sort of have that imagery of like the four corners with wands sort of holding things up. And in the other card, the wands are actually sort of holding up this like castle in the sky or this palace in the sky, which again is sort of maybe like our whole self, our hopes and dreams, right? Like maybe that is where we live, but we have to be able to sort of like hold that up and hold that structure and hold the idea that there are people in this world that can like accept all of you for who you are, that you don't have to change, that you don't just have to offer parts of yourself and then have right seven different communities and for the seven different parts of you, but that there are people that can accept you fully for who you are and want to be around that, right? And that like when you're in those communities, you come back out of them feeling refreshed and rejuvenated and like you want to give more, right? Or that you feel stronger and not that it's been tearing you down or making you feel weaker, making you question yourself or an uncertainty or anything like that. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in and see what the cards have to say today on this topic. So as I am pulling a card, I'm going to be thinking about, I guess, just this idea of, right, how do we know when we found those communities that fully accept us for who we are? What is that process like? Sorry, I'm shuffling here. I'm going to be pulling from my Anima Mundi deck by Megan Weirer-Wendon today. So yeah, thinking about, right, how do I have patience to find those communities? How, when I'm in that community, or maybe again, to use my example, when I attend that networking meeting, how do I know that it's a good fit for me? How do I know that this is going to help make me stronger, not weaker, or sort of like have me question my values, my boundaries, or things like that? How do I have hope for the future that I am able to find these communities, even if it takes time? And how do I exist in that limbo space that can feel so uncomfortable between finding communities for parts of you, and then finding communities that accept the wholeness of you. So I'm going to shuffle a couple more times, and then I'm going to pull my card. All right, only one more time. Okay, so I like to cut my deck and then pull it. Oh, I pulled the sun. How nice. And on this card in this deck, it shows like a white horse kind of like galloping through what looks sort of like a deserty area. There's a sun above them, but also you can see stars. Yeah, so this is a horse. The sun is an optimistic card of confidence and abundance. You have overcome the unconscious fears of the moon, and now the light of the sun is guiding you. So again, when we think about the journey through tarot in the major arcana, the moon comes before the sun. So first you have the sort of wateriness, the fears, some of the darkness, the shadow that can come up with the moon, and then we have the sun coming up here, right? Just shining a light on everything. So you're feeling revitalized and things are going well for you. So this card is all about success, happiness, vitality, positivity, abundance, and confidence. And I would say all of those words right there are how we know, right, when we're in those communities that are going to accept us for who we truly are and be able to accept all parts of us and not have to divide ourselves up or be wary or things like that, that we should feel success, we should feel happiness, we should feel vitality, positivity, abundance, and confidence, right? And if you go into communities or spaces where you are more in the reversal, where you have lingering worry, there's sadness, things just don't feel right, or it brings up your uncertainty or fears, then that's probably not the right space for you. So again, this card's telling us, right, that community is out there, right? You can have confidence and abundance and optimism, that you will find that space for you and be able to have those people around you that are supporting you as well. All right. So thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Links for the tarot decks will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.